Hello my friends, this is Brian, the Speaker for the Dead, coming to you with another video. As promised, I'm bringing you a review of the new SYFY, or Sci-Fi Channel, original series called Resident Alien. Now, I saw the trailers for this a while ago, and I love Alan Tudyk. Anyway, his name is kind of weird to pronounce. I went and actually looked up the pronunciation of his name, and it's pronounced Trudick, which just sounds bad. So I try and say it fast, Trudick. Anyway, but I am a huge fan of his. I have watched his stuff. I was never a huge fan of Firefly, just never got into it. I think I need to give it a better shot. Because everybody I know loves that series, and I don't know why I never fell into it. I need to give it another shot, though. Part of it was, by the time I realized it was going to be a good show, they'd canceled it. And so I was just like, well, I don't want to get into something knowing it's going to end, just, you know. So, wrong attitude to have, and I need to actually give it a shot. But I love him. I know he was in that. He has been a huge voice actor. He is in so many things that half the time I didn't even know he was in, because he disguises his voice so well. He plays the Duke in Frozen from Weaselton. That's him. He was in played robots in both iRobot and in Rogue One. Fantastic characters. Although it's just mainly him doing the vocal work for him, not really acting. I know in iRobot, he was actually in the blue dot suit and stuff like that. He did a lot of the acting for that character, but it was mainly the vocal work, because they pulled him out and replaced him with the android in that. Anyway, so I'm a huge fan of his. He is so talented. He is so cool. He is so from Texas. And no, just kidding. That has nothing to do with it. But that's what really kind of pulled me into the interest of this show. I'm like, I kind of struggle with new sci-fi shows because I've just been let down so many times, and I need to stop being that way, especially after I got The Expanse. I mean, if I had continued that, I would never have found The Expanse, thanks to my brother, who convinced me. But this show... I'm going to ruin it here for you. And by the way, spoilers. I am going to spoil the crap out of this show. So if you have not seen the first couple of episodes, which is all I've seen, don't watch this. Go watch the show and then come back. Or if you're on the on the fence and you don't mind spoilers, stick around and watch the video. I may convince you to go watch this show if you haven't thought about giving it a shot. If I had to rate it, it's a 10 out of 10, which is really rare for me. This show really just does everything really well, at least in my opinion. And I realize I'm a little biased because I am such a huge fan of Alan's, but he's great. The supporting cast is great. A lot of them are unknowns. I've never seen them in anything else, which, you know what? Sometimes those are the best actors to get, because they're still trying to prove themselves. They're not going off their name, and he doesn't seem to either. He is giving a masterful performance as this alien. Anyway, so the story starts with basically him falling out of the sky. He's coming to Earth, and a lightning bolt strikes his ship, blows off one of the discs that help keep him airborne, and he crash lands on Earth. Now this forces him to basically, he goes and assumes the shape of a doctor who visits Paradise, Colorado, which is where this show is set, which is kind of a real wintry, snowy setting. He's basically forced, and he goes into this doctor who visits one week out of a year in this Paradise, Colorado. And he ends up killing the doctor and assuming his form. Which is really kind of a cool transformation scene. They did an excellent job with that. And his performance of it is really good. And his performance as the doctor before he actually transforms is really funny. He hits the alien in the head with a poker, and the alien's like, and he strangles him and then throws him out into the lake, and he disappears in the frozen water. But so there's kind of a creepy element at the beginning, but it's not like freaky scary, like your kids will never sleep again kind of scary. You could let your family watch this show, and the humor, the humor in this is epically good, very witty, very funny, and it's like deadpan, dry humor where like the jokes are coming so hard and fast that like you barely stop laughing from the one joke to start laughing at the next one. But it doesn't feel like overdone, overblown, like Marvel humor, where it's just like you just feel like you're getting slugged in the face with practical jokes and joking all the time, which nothing against Marvel. I like Marvel movies. But this is really witty and clever humor, and it's wordplay, and it's just, I cannot recommend this highly enough. And the only reason I even watched it, because I was gonna just kind of wait and see what I heard about it, but they released a couple of the video or the episodes on YouTube, and it popped up in my feed, and I'm like, what the hell? I'll give it a shot, because he's in it, and I'm hooked. I can't wait for more. I hope this show gets super popular and just explodes, and everybody gets behind it, because it so far is so worth it. And I have to say this about it: I couldn't spot 1 ounce of wokeness in this show. In fact, it kind of takes wokeness and bitch slaps it across the face. Because, and I think they get away with it, or they're gonna get away with it, hopefully, because he is coming at the human experience from a complete outsider's perspective. So all of the things that we are consumed by, and all this stupid stuff that seems to get stupider every year that this planet spins around, he has to learn to interact with all this. And he's kind of like Drax, takes everything real literally, and stuff. It just, and like I say, and that's where the wordplay comes in. He takes stuff literally that people mean figuratively, but it's not like it isn't overplayed. You don't feel like you're watching Drax from Marvel. It's because he does it in such a different way. It really is just great. So he assumes the form of this doctor, and then basically tries to blend in. And the normal doctor that he replaced only stays there for a week, but he's been there for 4 months. And how this kind of gets introduced is the sheriff shows up at his house, and he's out in the boat, and he turns around, and he's in his alien form, but he's far enough out that they can't see him. And then he gets up to the shore, and just before the sheriff gets there, he looks like Alan Tudyk. And just, the sheriff in this is so funny, and he is the tropiest tropey sheriff, country bumpkin kind of / gangster sheriff, and he's this black guy, and he's just hilarious. He walks up and introduces himself. He's like, hey, I'm Sheriff so-and-so, but you can call me Big Black. But everybody calls me Big Black. And Alan Tudyk's character is just kind of like this blank expression on his face, and he looks over and he goes, because of your big black car. And the sheriff is just like, no, what the hell? Are you some kind of comedian? It really is funny. And it's just like, and like he keeps trying to get everybody to call him Big Black, and all these white people are really uncomfortable with this. It's like taking that trope and flipping it on its head, where he is making them the butt of the joke, instead of like the black guy in the town's always being like, made fun. Anyway, it is great. And it takes this wokeness and makes it look as stupid as it really is. But it's not like in your face. It's great science fiction, the way science fiction used to do things. Actually make you think outside the box and kind of step back and go, wow, that really is kind of stupid when you start looking at it from an outsider's perspective. And that's what's great about this show. You really end up looking at what we do and how we act and our interactions with other people for the goofy things that we all do and just don't even think about. And it really brings that home. And his delivery is just great. Like I said, and the acting so far is just really good. Really good. Just very believable. You don't feel like you're watching his show. I mean, it's funny. But anyway, this continues on because they're there because there's been a murder in town and they need a doctor. And Alan's like, well, don't you have a doctor? And he's like, well, yeah, but he's the one that's been murdered. or he's the one that's dead. We need you to come take a look. So he refers to the human race on an intelligence scale. He's like, we are very smart. We look at humans on an intelligence scale. They're slightly dumber than the average lizard. So he has this kind of looking down on humans kind of a thing, but not really, just like from a logical perspective. Their race does not really feel emotions. They don't have emotions. In fact, I think that's one of the things that scares them about human beings, which, major spoiler here, his mission coming to Earth was to drop a device that would kill all human life on Earth. So he's here to basically wipe out the planet, but like, he doesn't feel it like that. He's just like, he's a scientist. Anyway, so he has to learn how to be a human being. And now I know it's a trope because you've seen other people do this on different shows, but the way they do it is so fantastic. He has to learn how to be a human being by watching TV shows. Sorry, my stupid phone's sitting here booping at me. But yeah, so he's watching TV show, and specifically Law and Order. He sits there mimicking the lines of Law and Order to learn how to speak. And then, so you're kind of getting this in forward and backward replays to catch you up to where he is. Because it's been 4 months. And you get introduced to him at the end of that 4 months where he's kind of learned how kind of to be a human being from TV. But it isn't goofy. It's not like he's reciting commercials and stuff. I mean, there's none of that kind of stupid humor. It's just more humor like, anyway, so let me give you an example. He goes to look at this dead body, and he figures out how the guy died in like a minute. He's just like, oh, well, this happened. There's this funny part where he walks in, and there's this body laying on this chair, and he comes over and he goes, oh, that smells like it's been dead for a week. And then she jumps up, and she's alive. And so he's like, oh. And anyway, the dead body's laying on the floor across the room. And it's just priceless, because he's all serious, and then all of a sudden she just jerks up because she was asleep. But he's basically said she stinks. Oh, anyway, so he goes over and figures out how this guy died like that fast. His race is extremely intelligent, but just doesn't understand what's going on with human beings. And anyway, so he's figuring this out and stuff like that, and they're like, nah, that couldn't possibly be the way that is. And he's like, well, he turns out to be right. But throughout these episodes, it keeps coming back to that. So there's kind of a mystery story going on in the background of him trying to blend in and pretend to be a human being while he searches for the device that he was supposed to set off that broke off of his ship after it crashed, or just before it crashed. And for those of you who've seen it, I know I'm just kind of being repetitive, but I mean, I just want you to get a feel for, that's how much, I've seen this once. I've seen these 2 episodes one time, and they're stuck in my head. That's how good they are. That doesn't happen for me very often, where I almost instantly like a show. It took me a few minutes to kind of figure out what was going on, but I mean, once you do, you're in. I mean, I'm committed to this show now. That's how good I think it is. So I hope you'll get on and look up this show. But to give you some more background, so nobody can see him for what he really is, except one kid. One kid can see him in his real form and freaks out on the street the first time he sees him. And he's like, this town has just like 1,000 people in it, and only 1 out of like 100,000 human beings can even see me in my form. What are the odds of that? And it's all deadpan. Like he's trying to figure out human emotions. He has become essentially human. So he's coming to grips with new emotions and feelings and things that he didn't really deal with before as this other species. But it's like a slow build where he suddenly starts realizing that he's feeling things or that something's happening that he's not used to. And it is just tremendous. Well acted, very funny, and kind of, your emotions will be all over really watching this. You're going to laugh, you're going to be like, oh, and then you're going to be like, what the hell? It's just great. It really is. I know I'm going to keep saying that, repeating myself, But I mean, so he ends up becoming like a rival with this kid. He keeps trying to bump this kid off so that he can't reveal that he's an alien, and it keeps going wrong and stuff. And this kid, and nobody can see what he can see, so nobody believes him. They're sitting there looking at Alan Tudyk's character, and like they can't see it, so it doesn't seem real. But this kid can, and so anyway, they kind of end up almost in a Home Alone kind of situation, but not really. Way funnier than that, where this kid's like trying to prove it, and he's figuring out that this alien is trying to kill him at different points. And there's a scene where the kid has to go in because he fell off his bike because Alan sabotaged the brakes on his bike. And he just fell over instead of rolling down the hill and crashing into traffic like he was supposed to. And he gets this little cut on his arm, and he's sitting there, he's like, I'm going to have to give you some stitches. And they start like bickering back and forth over how many stitches, because Alan's like, maybe I'll give you 5 stitches. Here's some Novocaine. I can numb that for you so it won't feel anything. But we won't. So he's going to basically torture this kid. But the kid's all in for it. He's like, fine, go ahead. And there's this battle of wills going on. It is really great. He goes to a bar with the nurse who ends up kind of understanding him because she feels like an outsider. She knows he's an outsider. Everybody knows he's kind of weird. The sheriff's skeptical of him and stuff because he's just kind of a weirdo because he's not human. He's still trying to figure out how to be human. But the sequence where he's figuring out how to use his human body is riotously funny. He like trying to brush his teeth and he can't, Alan's, the portrayal, his face, and then he's trying to learn how to walk and he's sitting in a chair and he just falls out on his face. It is slapstick, physical humor that rivals anything Steve Carell's ever done. Or some of the great slapstick masters. I mean, it's just great. And that's what I mean. It's kind of all over the place. You're getting all different kinds of humor throughout this show, and then serious moments and kind of tender moments where people have lost this doctor that they really cared about and stuff like that. Anyway, there's this one scene where this is what I mean when I say the wokeness isn't there. It's just like, psh, that's being slapped aside, and we're being, and it's like having the scab peeled back to see the wound that is our civilization right now. So there's this scene where they've just finished doing an autopsy, which is hilarious because he's just fascinated that he gets to take apart a human body. And anyway, so they go through this whole process, and at the end of it, he's standing there talking to the nurse, and she's just like, thank you for doing this and allowing, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, are you complimenting me? And she's like, yeah, this is, kind of where you return the favor kind of thing, trying to give him hints because she can tell he's a weirdo. And he's like, pandas are stupid because through the process sorry, I missed something there, I gotta go back. Over the autopsy, he basically blurts out to her that he thinks that she's less intelligent than a lizard. What he said before. And so anyway, through this compliment, he's like, pandas are stupid. And she's like confused. He's like, they are dumb. They don't even know when they're pregnant. They will give birth and then they will kill their own young because they don't know what it is. They are dumb. And she's like, okay. She's like, when I called you a lizard, I could have called you a panda. That is way worse. And I'm not using the exact words, but it's just, and her face is like, that's not good. That's not a good compliment, basically. And he's like, I like your brown skin. She turns around and goes, yeah, I should have quit while I was ahead, and turns around and walks out. I mean, it's just, this is what humor in science fiction is supposed to be. It's funny, it's on the nose, it makes fun of us as human beings for the stupidity of being human and how trivial we allow things to become in our lives about like what gender is this, something's that, and I mean it's just like, really, in the big scheme of things, in the universal scheme of things, we must look just pathetic. If there are really aliens out there in outer space, and I believe there are, because space is big. I can't believe that it's empty of life except for us. That would be sad. But I mean, you look at our lives through the magnascope of out there, and this is what you'd see. And I love the fact that they're just making fun of how stupid we all are, and how petty we get hooked up on things, and what that would look like to someone who was completely out of his element here. And it just really is a fun show. I can't wait to see where they're going to take it and what they're going to do with this. I am all in, and I hope it stays good. I don't know who's really like producing or writing. I didn't really look into their backgrounds yet, but I'm going to, because that'll give me a hint of where this might be going. But this is the Sci-Fi Channel. They gave us The Expanse, probably the best science fiction show out there right now, up until you get to season 5, and then it kind of stumbles a little bit. But I mean, they had the foresight to do The Expanse, so I mean, I got to give them credit for that. So this may be the next big thing, you know, that we can all latch on to and go, finally, some science fiction that is great. It's funny, and it's serious, and it's intelligent, and it's witty, and you have to pay attention for more than 10 seconds without something exploding to keep your attention. So the kids are probably going to hate this, because it's good. Anyway, I'm showing my age. Oh, what are you, like 70? No, but anyway, please go check out this show. Let other people know if you like it. Let other people know that you like it, because that's how we're going to keep it around. And it is definitely worth it. It really is. Let me know what you think in the comments, whether you're even interested in this show or not. I'm going to review it, because I can't not review something this good, because it doesn't come along very often, especially nowadays. Anyway, so let me know what you think, and we will catch you next time. Bye now.